So this is first canto, 6th chapter, 6th verse. Ekatmaja me janani yoshin mudha cha kinkari mayatmaje ananyagato chakre snehanubandhanam. And translation is, I was the only son of my mother, who was not only a simple woman, but a maid servant as well. Since I was her only offspring, she had no other alternative for protection. She bound me with a tie of affection. 1.6.7 Sa swatantra na kalpasid yogakshemam mamechati isasya hi vashe loko yoshadaru mayatha. She wanted to look after my maintenance properly, but because she was not independent, she was not able to do anything for me. The world is under the full control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, everyone is like a wooden doll in the hands of a puppet master. Aham cha tad brahma kule usivam stadupekshaya digdesha kala vyutpanno balakaha panchahayanaha. When I was a mere child of 5 years, I lived in a Brahmana school. I was dependent on my mother's affection and had no experience of different lands. Now we will chant this verse together. Ekada nirgatam gehat ekada nirgatam gehat duhantim nisi gam pathi duhantim nisi gam pathi sarpaha adasat pada sprushtaha sarpodasat pada sprushtaha kripanam kalachoditaha ekada nirgatam gehat duhantim nisigam patihi sarpodasat pada sprushtaha kripanam kalachoditaha ekada nirgatam gehat duhantim nisigam patihi sarpodasat pada sprushtaha kripanam kalachoditaha ekada nirgatam gehat duhantim nisigam patihi sarpodasat pada sprushtaha kripanam kalachoditaha. Ekada nirgatam geha duhantim nisigam patihi sarpodasat pada sprushtaha kripanam kalachoditaha. Gehat, from whom? Duhantim, for milking. Nishi, at night. Gam, the cow. Pathi, on the path. Sarpaha, snake. Adasat, bitten. Pada, on the leg. Sprishtaha, thus struck. Kripanam, the poor woman. Kalachoditaha, influenced by supreme time. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Once upon a time, my mother, when going out one night to milk a cow, was bitten on the leg by a serpent, influenced by supreme time. Translation with repetition. Once upon a time, my poor mother, when going out one night to milk a cow, was bitten on the leg by a serpent influenced by supreme time. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. That is the way of dragging a sincere soul nearer to God. The poor boy was being looked after only by his affectionate mother, and yet the mother was taken from the world by the supreme will in order to put him completely at the mercy of the Lord. Thus ends the wonderful transcendental Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are seeing this wonderful conversation which is happening between Narada Muni and Vedavyas. And last verse we saw Narada Muni was about to speak, spoke thus. That is how the verse ended. And today we are seeing 4 verses. The last verse was, "O great says," Sri Narada said, "The great sages who had imparted scientific knowledge of transcendence to me departed for other places, and I had to pass my life in this way." So he's telling, imparted this scientific knowledge of transcendence to me and departed for other places, and I had to pass my life in this way. So in what way? That is what is explained in these verses today that we are seeing, few of the verses. Since the first 3 verses didn't have purport, we just went through. Now let's see what we can learn from this real life example of Narada Muni, who's telling this very kindly for all of us. So the title for today is The Tie of Affection. Let's see the first verse for today that we had. Ekatmaja me janani yoshin mudha cha kinkari mai atmaje ananyagato chakre snehanu bandhana. The title for today's verse, today's Bhagavatam class is coming from this word Sneha Anubandhanam. Bandhanam is tie or bondage. Anubandhanam, pretty deeply tied. And tied by what? What is the material which is used? No rope. Sneha. Sneha Anubandhanam. Tie of affection. Who's tying whom with the tie of affection? Narada Muni is telling Ekat Majame Janani. My Janani, my mother, me ekatmaja me is actually mine. Ekatmaja me janani yoshin mudha cha kinkari mai atmaje ananya gato chakre snehanu bandhanam. The reason why she tied me in this tie of affection, as mentioned by Narad Muni himself, first thing that Narad Muni is telling is ekatmaja. Eka atmaja. I am the only son. Eka is only. Atmaja. I am the only son of my janani. Ekatmaja me janani. And mai atmaje ananya gato. She didn't have anyone else other than me. I mean, for her also there was nobody else. So she ananya gato. She just wanted to be protected by me, or she wanted to protect me. Either way, ananya gato. She was just thinking of me. Who is this she? The mother of Narad Muni. And what is the adjective which is used here in Bhagavatam? There are 3 adjectives which are used. Yoshin, Mudha, Chakinkari. Yoshin, she was a simple woman. Mudha, not very intelligent. Kinkari. Kinkari is a maid servant. So imagine, picture this, usually in the Hindi movies we have, in the beginning, there'll be a poor lady, right, with her son. And this poor lady is a maid servant. Didn't have enough money, nothing, actually very unfortunate situation. So that is why the tie of affection was very strong. Snehanubandhanam. It's not just a ordinary mother and child, where there is also father, there may be other siblings. The affection is little distributed, not like that. She's Ekatmaja, when Narada Muni is the only son, and she is Yoshin Mudha Kinkari. She's not very intelligent, she is a woman, and she is Kinkari, she's a maid servant, and she didn't have anybody else. Mai Atmaja Ananya Gato. Chakre Snehanubandhana. Chakre, the word chakre means, as Prabhupada says, did it. She bound me with ties of affection, very normal in this material world. Every mother wants to protect her child. Not every mother, every parent. That is how the bond is so strong. Let's move on, because this is a very in this itself, because sometimes when the translation is so lucid and clear, Prabhupada has not given purport. Doesn't mean that Prabhupada couldn't have written, but this is very clear what the verse is trying to convey. Let's go to the next one. Saswatantra na kalpashit yogakshemam mamechati isasya hi vashe loko yosha darumayatha. So this is very, again, another beautiful verse. I think you all know this verse, Yogakshemam. So the same word is used here, Yogakshemam. So she wanted to protect me. Narada Muni is telling, Yogakshemam. She wanted to take care of me. Mamechati. Yogakshemam mamechati. The desire was, how do I take care of my child nicely? But in life, there is always a big but which comes, right? B-U-T, capital B. So here the but is Sa Aswatantra Nakalpasit. The only problem was she was not controller, she was not independent. Sa Aswatantra Nakalpasit. Had she been the real independent controller, she could have controlled, she could have taken care of me. It is not only Narada Muni's mother, it's all of us. We are actually not controllers. We are controlled by whom? Ishasya hi vase loko yosha darumayatha. Very, very beautiful description of Bhagavatam. First of all, aswatantra. She was dependent. She was not independent. And dependent on what? Like all of us, what are we dependent on? Who is controlling us? Ishasya hi vase loko yosha darumayatha. So we are puppets in the hands of God. Very beautiful. So I have highlighted some of the words from the translation. Puppets in the hands of God. Ties of affection. Pay attention to those. Isasya hi vase loko yosha darumayata. You see this beautiful family? Father, mother, children, all happy family. Happily will live. Papa ko mummy say that Indra, when he became big, that drama, in that there is that song which comes. Mummy ko, Papa say, Papa ko, Mummy say. You want to live. Mummy also wants to protect the child. Papa also wants to protect the child. Papa also wants to protect the entire family. But unfortunately, there are strings which are there, invisible strings, and we are controlled. Who is the controller? Isasya hi vase loko. Yosha darumayatha. They're just puppets. How? Why we are puppets? Let's see in the life of Narada Muni. Powerful time. Ekada nirgatam gehat duhantim nishigam pati sarpo dashat padas prashta kripanam kala chodita. Most of the stories start with once upon a time. Ekada. Ekada nirgatam gehat. Of course, we know it is not that it is unknown, because we saw that in the previous verses, it is mentioned in the previous kalpa of Brahma, when this incident has happened. Narada Muni is recollecting his past incident. It is not completely unknown, but sometimes in the stories that we read, once upon a time, we don't know really what time it is. Once upon a time. Once upon a time, nirgatam gehat. Nirgatam gehat. My mother went away from my house Duhantim, for what? For milking cows. You milked cows? You didn't do. How many of you have milked cows? Duhantim. You milked. You think or you have? So very normal thing that people do, Duhantim. She just went to milk cows. We could have also gone to milk cows. We could be walking on the street, but all of a sudden, Sarpo Dashat Padas Prashta. One snake bite her, bitten by a snake. Sarpo Dashat Padas Prashta Kripanam Kala Chodita. She was stuck by the powerful serpent of time, in the form of a snake actually. Serpent and Sarpa, similar. Sarpo Dashat Padas Prashta Kripanam Kala Chodita. In our life also it can happen. Person whom we are thinking that he's our controller, he's our protector, he's our maintainer. Normal day-to-day activities, somebody is doing, all of a sudden can be bitten by the serpent of time and it can come to an end. Ekada nirgatam gehat duhantim nishigam pati. Sarpo dashat padas prashta kripanam kala chodita. When such things happen, what do? Mind you, this child didn't have anybody else. He's just 5 years old. And a very affectionate mother who didn't have anyone else. That is strong tie of affection, and she is gone. Over. In the movie, it had been some Ramanand Sagar serial. Very beautiful, powerful, dramatic music. Tang, 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 and then the mother is dead. The child is crying, or some bells are ringing in the temple. Bhagwan, tune ye kyun kiya? Kya kar diya? And then he'll grow up with someone else and something happens in life. But this is not happening here. This is reality, and reality is what Narad Muni does is exemplary. This is what Bhagavatam is teaching us. Let us see what Bhagavatam is saying. Actually, the next verse has all the clues. Unfortunately, I will not reveal. I live a mystery. The secret for today's class, which we have to unravel in the next class. But let's understand what is there in today's class, today's verses. First thing that I want to talk about is this word puppets in the hands of God. We are puppets in the hands of God. Actually, is it a good thing or a bad thing? Because the moment you think that you're a puppet, means you are being controlled, you are being pulled, you feel, what is that then? I don't have any free will, I don't have any independence. What's my life all about? If everything is controlled and is being pulled by the Lord, what am I doing here? Very interesting to understand this. And these verses of Narad Muni, these words actually should always resonate in our heart. When Prabhupada is writing, Isasya hi vase loko yosha daru mayatha. Yosha daru mayatha. Yosha. The sha is, what do you call those? Mota wala. That sha. Sha, that it has got, there are 3 shas, right? One which is coming from the tooth, one is which is coming from the palate, and the third one. So this is the third one. Shad Varga, Shad Goswami. So Yosha Daru Mayatha. Actually, if you see the dialectrics, your appreciation for this verses will increase. Ishasya hi vase loko Yosha Daru Mayatha. He said the whole world is controlled by the Lord. Isasya hi vase loko. No exception. Somebody may say 3 modes of material nature, but 3 modes of material nature is also under the control of the Supreme Lord. Ishasya hi vase loko yosha daru mayata. So to understand this verse a little bit, I have put a verse here. It's from Bhagavatam 6th canto. This is spoken by the demigods when there was a demon, powerful demon by name Vritrasur who came from fire. His form was so ferocious, and it was a huge demon, very big, gigantic, and it came from the sacrificial fire, started walking. Then this demigods are saying this wonderful prayer, very, very interesting. Avismitam tam paripurna kamam swaneva labhena samam prasantam bina upasarpati aparam hivalishah swalangulena atiti tarati sindhum. It's a very powerful analogy. Actually, Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita's analogies, the examples are so powerful. They always stay with us. This you can never forget. What is the example? If I show you the picture, it'll always remain. But let me ask you a small question before we do that. Do you know the word swa? What does it mean? Okay. Self. Panduranga, kitna Sanskrit was third? Swa. Sobid Varaha Ushtra. There is one place where Bhagavatam mentions. Sobid Varaha, Vidvaraha. Swine, yeah. Stool eating. Swa is Vidvaraha is swine. The stool eating. Usse pehle ek swa hai. So these are all animals. Swa is, huh? Not good here. No. It's an animal. Which in this country, it's a dog. This country, the dog is so much favored, revered. So this word swa langulena atiti tarati sindhum. Swa langula. Langula is actually tail. Tail. So imagine a dog who is trying to cross the ocean, right? Swa langulena atiti tarati sindhum. Sindhum is big ocean. Dog actually can swim in a little bit of water. But a drowning man who's going and catching the tail of a dog to cross the ocean. So what do you call him? Prabhupada is saying Balishaha. He's a fool. So like that, when we take shelter of any other thing other than the Lord, it's actually catching the tail of the dog. There are beautiful words which are used for the Lord here. Avismitam, who's free from material conceptions of existence. He doesn't get bewildered by this material existence. Oh, Vismitam. Vismitam is to get bewildered. I'm mesmerized or I'm wonderstruck. Lord, Avismitam. Tam Paripurna Kamam. Paripurna Kamam. He doesn't have any desires. He's satisfied, self-satisfied. Swarat. His Atma Kama. He's Atma Rama. He's full in himself. Avismitam tam paripurna kamam swaneva labhena samam prasantam. And he's never wonderstruck by anything. The Lord is always jubilant, fully satisfied by his own spiritual perfection. These are all qualities of Krishna, which is mentioned if you see in Nectar of Devotion. He has no material designations, and therefore he is steady and unattached. He's steady and unattached. That Supreme Personality of Godhead is the only shelter of everyone. Anyone desiring to be protected by others is certainly a great fool who desires to cross the sea by holding the tail of a dog. It's a very powerful verse because it says what is the position of the Lord and what is the fate of someone who doesn't take shelter of the Lord but anything else, like all of us we do, most of us we do. We take shelter of our future plans, policies, money, doctors, so many things we have faith on that this will come to my rescue. This will protect me. Nothing can help us. There is a very beautiful verse which Padri Prabhu likes. Balasya neha saranam pitaram nrishimha nartasya chagadam udanvati majjato nau taptasya tat pratibhir ya ihanjasas tavad vibho tanubhritam tvad upekshitana. Very beautiful verse. The translation is, this is Prahlad Maharaj praying to Narsimhadev. My Lord Narsimhadev, O Supreme, because of a bodily conception of life, embodied souls neglected and not cared for you cannot do anything for their betterment. Whatever remedies they accept, although perhaps temporarily beneficial, are certainly impermanent. For example, a father and mother cannot protect their child. A physician and medicine cannot relieve a suffering patient, and a boat on the ocean cannot protect a drowning man. These are realities. No matter how strong we try, no matter how much we want, we cannot, because we ourselves are controlled. How can we control another controlled living entity when we ourselves are not free? It can only be done by the Lord under whose control this whole world is running. This doesn't give a very good feeling, as I was mentioning in the beginning, that if I'm controlled, everything is controlled, then what am I doing? What is my role here? Actually, the Lord has given us the free will to act. And you may say, why then he is putting us in this kind of a situation which is not pleasant, which is not happy, where I'm suffering? Why is he putting us in this? He has not put us in this situation. It is because of our karma, it is because of our desires we are in this particular situation. There is a very beautiful purport. Prabhupada says something very striking about this position of the Lord and how we are being controlled by him is such a nice thing. And to tell that, actually, Prabhupada is saying, actually, this is from a lecture that Prabhupada has given. He's saying, he's giving an example that just like a child, when he gets into a fight in a school, imagine there is a child who's there in the school, right? He's going and he's studying. He gets into a fight. Why did he get into a fight? He got into a fight because of his own this thing. Something happened there, he got into a fight, right? So when he gets into a fight in school, the father has no hand in it. But when the child is in danger, father comes and rescues him by talking to teachers. Similarly, things will keep happening with us at different levels depending upon our prarabdha, past life karmas. But Lord will definitely come to protect us if we completely trust him. Prarabdha karma, something is going to happen that we can't help. The moment we trust, we come and pray to the Lord, we take his shelter, immediately the Lord comes to rescue. Let our prarabdha karma do its own work, and we do our own work of trusting, depending, loving Krishna without any conditions. Pure love. Arjuna trusted Krishna and entered into Kurukshetra, Yuddha. Srimati Radharani and the other gopis trusted and loved Krishna and accepted. So these are all examples which are given. And I want to give one great example when we talk about the puppets in the hands of God. What better example than, I have something else, I will come to this a little later, than Srila Prabhupada, when he has written this wonderful song, Makine Bhagavad Dharma, where this beautiful phrase which comes, Nachao, Nachao Prabhu. If you want to make me dance, O Lord, the way you want. Boro Kripa Koile Krishna Adhamera Pati. Kilagi an ila heto. Koroi Gati. Let's read the translation of this wonderful prayer written by Prabhupada when he landed here in Boston. It has a very powerful meaning. It has a very powerful essence of being puppets in the hands of Krishna. What can happen? So I didn't put the lyrics. I just have the translation. My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. We don't know why we are here in this material world. Actually, we have no understanding, none of us. But this mood of surrender, now you do whatever you want, whatever you like with me. But I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. That's all of us. Absorbed in material life, we think very happy and satisfied. Therefore, we have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how we will be able to understand it. But Prabhupada is writing, but I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible because you are the most expert mystic. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service? Oh Lord, I am simply praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them about your message. All living entities have become under the control of the illusory energy by your will. And therefore, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. This is a clue actually. All living entities have become under the control of the illusory energy by your will. Of course, it's not that the Lord directly wants us, because the external energy of the Lord captivates us. Mohitam navijanati. We are completely bewildered and we are there in this under the control of material nature, but we can switch. We can, instead of being controlled by the material modes of nature, we can be controlled by the Supreme Lord. If you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. The words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation, and if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception, then he will be able to understand your message. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll see this, but important thing, every Sunday at least we are associating with Bhagavatam. The words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation. This is not different from the Lord. Idam Bhagavatam Namam Puranam Brahma Samhita. Idam Bhagavatam Namam Puranam Brahma, which is not different. And if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception, then he'll be able to understand your message. So what is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, which we read many times at the beginning? Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes completely happy. Thus established in the mood of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Thus, the knot in the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. This is the full transition just by hearing repetitive, submissive oral reception to Srimad Bhagavatam, which is not different from the Lord. These things can happen. Being influenced and controlled by the modes of material nature, one can come out. This knots can be cut. This misgivings can be cleansed. Beautiful. This knot in the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. Then one realizes one's true position. Otherwise, these bubbles which are created where we are thinking I'm this body, this family that I have, they are my be all and end all. This bubble bursts anytime. And then again, we get into another painful situation of entering into another bubble of another family. And this continues this process. But this can be pierced. This misgivings can be completely cleansed only when we understand our true position and do this process which Prabhupada is having so much of faith. Then Prabhupada is saying he will become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion, and thus all inauspicious things accumulated in the core of the heart will disappear. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I'm very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I'm seeking your benediction so that I can convince them. For I am powerless to do so on my own. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I'm sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. And this is, O Lord, I'm just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance, O Lord. Make me dance as you like. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhakti Vedanta. And now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhakti Vedanta. Yesterday, we were reading one portion from the conversation between Prakasananda Saraswati and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One very striking point there, it was mentioned is, this is the most confidential knowledge of Vedic literatures, is that actually Krishna and his names are non-different. They are identical, there is no difference. If you want to remain fixed in Krishna consciousness, if you want to remain situated in Krishna consciousness forever in your life, you need to understand this truth and have that faith. So that's what Prabhupada is writing, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhakti Vedanta, and now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhakti Vedanta. Very powerful thing. We can consciously choose not to become servants of the modes of material nature and choose to become servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We can consciously understand that, by becoming the servant of modes of material nature, we are catching the tail of the dog to cross the ocean, to feel that I'll be free, I'll be protected, I'll be safe. But if we catch the lotus feet of Krishna, which is eternal, fixed, permanent, it can help us cross any ocean of material miseries. Now, one very interesting thing which I wanted to talk before we proceed further is that attachment. How do we come out of it, or what do we do about it? And to know that, I want to quote a verse from Bhagavatam again, and it is in conversation with between Kapila Muni and Devahuti, Mother Devahuti. Actually, that conversation is very, very powerful. It's called the glories of devotional service. Can somebody get rid of attachment so quickly, easily? It is so natural for us to get attached to so many things. Children are naturally objects of affection. How can you get rid of that? Family members are naturally sources of, they're natural objects of affection. How do you get rid of it? There is a verse which is there in Bhagavatam, spoken by Kapila Muni. Very interesting verse. The verse is, Prasangam ajaram pasam atmanah kavayo viduhu saeva sadhusu krito moksha dwaram apapratam. Very interesting verse. Prasangam ajaram pasam. Ajaram pasam. Prasangam, attachment, can become strong entanglement. Ajaram pasam. Ajaram is very strong. Pasam is an entanglement or knot or whatever. Prasangam ajaram pasam atmanah kavayo viduhu. Kavayo, the intelligent man, they are saying, the self-realized souls, the knowledgeable, they are saying, Prasangam ajaram pasam. Actually, this attachment can be very strong entanglement. To whom? Atmana, to our own family members. It can be a very strong entanglement. Prasangam ajaram pasam atmanah kavayo vidu saeva sadhusu krito moksha dwaram apapratam. However, if you change that attachment, if you are able to change that attachment to whom? To sadhu. Saeva sadhusu krito moksha dwaram apapratam. Then the moksha dwara, the door to liberation, will become open. Saeva sadhusu krito moksha dwaram apapratam. Every learned man knows very well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul. But that same attachment, when applied to the self-realized devotees, opens the door of liberation. So in that purport, actually there is very beautiful things which is mentioned. In the first sentence, Prabhupada is saying that attachment is the platform in which, whom are you attached to? That decides whether you are going to be entangled or you are going to be liberated. If the attraction and the attachment is for material things, then it becomes the source of bondage. But the same attachment, if it is for spiritual master or for a sadhu, then it becomes the source of liberation. In that, there is one very interesting thing which Prabhupada says about sadhu. When we meet a sadhu, what happens? We are talking about sadhu sangha also. There are three things which happens when a person meets a sadhu. So Prabhupada is saying, it's a very interesting, it's a beautiful purport actually. You can read this at your leisure, but there is a thing which Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport. He's saying, okay, he's quoting Mahatma is a synonym of sadhu. I'll just read a little bit. It is said that the service to a Mahatma or elevated devotee of the Lord is Dwaram Ahur Vimuktehe, the royal road of liberation. Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur Vimuktes, Tam Dwaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangam. Rendering service to the materialist has the opposite effect. If anyone offers service to a gross materialist or a person engaged only in sense enjoyment, then by association with such a person, the door to hell is opened. The same principle is confirmed here. Attachment to a devotee is attachment to the service of the Lord. Because if one associates with a sadhu, the result will be that the sadhu will teach him three things: how to become a devotee, a worshipper, and a sincere servitor of the Lord. These are the gifts of a sadhu. So Prabhupada is writing, attachment to a devotee is attachment to the service of the Lord, because if one associates with a sadhu, the result will be the sadhu will teach him how to become a devotee. How to become a devotee, a worshipper, and a sincere servitor of the Lord. What is missing in people's life is they have no understanding of God. They have no actual understanding that God is the controller of the entire world. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. It's very difficult, rare to find. When one associates with Lord, this faith that there is Lord who is my supreme protector, my supreme well-wisher, and I am under his shelter, I am completely free from all this fear of death, miseries. That kind of a faith comes. So the sadhu does three things. He gives this gift of making one a devotee. Where did it go? Sadhu will teach him how to become a devotee, a worshipper, and a sincere servitor of the Lord. These are the gifts of a sadhu. If we want to associate with a sadhu, we cannot expect him to give us instructions on how to improve our material condition. So mind you, when we are having sadhu sangha, if we talk about something else, some other things, we think we are doing sadhu sangha. Actually, that's not sadhu sangha. When we sit and discuss Krishna Katha in association of devotees, there is a mystical thing which happens. Satam prasangan maudirya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana tad joshanadasu apavarga vartamani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishati. There is a potency that gets released when we actually sincerely, genuinely. The reason why we are sitting here, not because I have to spend time or I have been told 1 hour I have to sit, nothing. Genuinely, I want to hear and understand Krishna Katha. When we sit with that honest intention, then there is a potency which gets released. That potency is so powerful, you cannot get it. How to improve our material condition, but he'll give us instructions on how to cut the knot of the contamination of material attraction and how to elevate ourselves in devotional service. That is the result of associating with the sadhu. So the tie of affection that we have, that affection, if it shifts to a sadhu, to a devotee, then the doors of liberation will open. Dwaram moksha dwaram apabrita. Now, as I said, there is a very interesting twist which happens in the next verse. Before we go to the next verse, I want to tell you, okay, I want to leave you with one thought, which is a very powerful thought, which you should meditate, and then we will see in the next class what happens. The thought is a prayer which we are now chanting every day in the evening, a prayer which is offered by one of the greatest devotees, Kunti Maharani. Kunti Maharani, in her exalted prayer, offers this one prayer. It says, Atha Vishvesu Viswatman, Vishwamurte Swakeshume, Sneha Pasam Imam Chindi, Dridham Pandushu Brishnishu. Now, this is a clue for the next verse that we will discuss in the next class. But Kunti Maharani's prayer, one should always remember this prayer. Why is she offering? Atha Vishvesha Viswatman, Vishwamurte Swakeshume, Sneha Pasam Imam Chindi, Dridham Pandushu Brishnishu. She's asking to sever the knots of affection. With whom? Dridham Pandusu and Vrishnishu. Pandus are great devotees, exalted personalities. Pandavas are not ordinary people. Vrishnishu. Vrishnis are also devotees of the Lord. But she's asking even this, Sneha Pasam Imam Chindi, Dridham Pandusu Vrishnishu. We just saw that if somebody is attached to devotees, what is that? Mukta, Mokshadharam Abhabrataha. It opens the doors of liberation. So in my family, I have all nice devotees. What is the problem? Let me be attached. Why is Kunti Maharani is telling Sneha Pasam Imam Chindi, Dridham Pandusu Vrishnishu? It is not ordinary material people that she's asking to sever her attachment or the tie of affection. She's asking for her own relatives, Pandusu and Vrishnishu. That is a question you should think about. The answer is there in the next verse when we will see what Narada Muni did when this calamity happened in life. And then there is the powerful influence of time, which Prabhupada is mentioning. But the purport, actually, okay, before we close, the purport of today's verse, the first line, I mean, as I was telling that in a Hindi movie that would have happened, then there will be a dramatic music and then the hero will start complaining. None of those things happen. And Prabhupada is saying in the first line, that is the way of dragging a sincere soul nearer to God. This actually, maybe ordinary people, normal people who are coming for Krishna consciousness cannot understand this. So if somebody is died and Prabhupada is writing that is the way of dragging a sincere soul nearer to God. The poor boy was being looked after only by his affectionate mother, and yet the mother was taken from the world by the supreme will in order to put him completely at the mercy of the Lord. Mind you, the word that is used there is very important word. That is the way of dragging a sincere soul nearer to God. And it happens, if it happens to us, probably we would not be able to take it. That's why it doesn't happen to us. We can get some satisfaction. That fruit seller came, he gave some fruits, and in return his basket was filled with gold. That's good, great. Or something like that. Sudama came, he brought some chipped rice, in return one big palace was built up. But somebody says his mother was taken away. Mother was dead, only shelter, protector he had. And that is the way of Krishna's mercy of dragging a sincere soul. But this is the way of dragging a sincere soul nearer to God. Unless a person is sincere, the Lord will not do this. Because we are not sincere, we don't have enough faith and conviction in Krishna's plan and protection. It doesn't happen to us. We're not stripped off of all the things. Little something we get. The poor boy was being looked after only by his affectionate mother, and yet the mother was taken from the world by the supreme will in order to put him completely at the mercy of the Lord. It's very, the purport is very revealing. Otherwise somebody would have thought, my God, such a big lamentation it is. One boy, one mother, only shelter is also gone. What would have happened to that poor boy? Like that we would think. But this is the mercy of the Lord. And how does Narada Muni respond to the situation in his life? We will see that. Remember this verse of Kunti Maharani asking for severing the tie of affection. We will see that how that is very important. I'll stop here and see if you have any questions or comments.
Hi, Krishna Prabhu. Dhanwad Pranam. Sharda here from Dallas.
Yes.
I have a question in one of the, I guess when you were showing the prayers of Srila Prabhupada, and then further you open up a slide where I had a question, Prabhu. If you don't mind, could you please open that slide for me?
You want the prayers of Prabhupada? Or
yeah, after the prayers of Prabhupada, you had shown another purport, or in between the prayers.
I'll just...
Yeah, Prabhu. Yeah, sure.
This is the prayer.
Yes, yeah, this one, Prabhu.
This is actually part of the prayer only. There's just translation of few verses put together from Bhagavatam. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, Prabhu. The last few lines, thus the knot in the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces, which is good. And then the chain of fruit of actions is terminated, and when one sees the self as master. Prabhu, I have trouble understanding the last few words. When one sees the self as master, Self should be a servitor, not a master. So I kind
Oh,
of have
no,
to go
okay.
there.
So
Yeah.
self as master is referring to the soul, not being controlled by the inferior coverings of our mind and intelligence and senses. Right now, when the soul is sleeping or is in a forgetful state, we have given the power of attorney to mind and senses. So whatever the mind and senses dictate, we follow the dictation helplessly. Or we think that is how this is the real selfish interest. When we gratify those senses or follow the dictation of mind, that's how we can be happy or peaceful. But that's false. And that understanding, that awakening will come when one will understand that self is the master, not being controlled by this mind, intelligence, and others. Does that help?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. Yeah, got it. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Thank you so much. And I had another, if it's okay, I can wait
Yes.
for
No, you
others to
can ask.
finish. Sure, Prabhu. Thank you so much. The other question that I had is when you were explaining about Kunti Maharani's prayers, and then she asked the Supreme Personality of Lord to sever the relationships that she had with her sons and as well the Vrishni, the relationship with them. And I know we'll talk further about it in the next, but then I had a question, and then you were mentioning about how, a sincere devotee, he gives that opportunity to only a sincere devotee. But then if it's presented to us, for example, for me, a fallen soul, I may not get that opportunity. So is it because that a sincere devotee wants the company of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or he wants to take shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then it will not be given to us? Is it because we're we still desire for it? It's just that we have not realized that desire yet, or we've not realized that to have that desire in its entirety, something like that.
I got it. So basically, the question paper which is given to us is based on the standard in which we are in. For example, imagine if you are born in a family like of Hiranyakashipu and you are being tortured day in and day out. Your father is putting you in all kinds of difficulties and you have to think of the Lord. We will not be able to do it. Or the kind of difficulties or the reversals that the Pandavas had to go through. If we are put into those kind of situations, it's not easy for us. The Lord gives us that much of test which we can handle, and our faith increases in that process. If a question paper is set for you, which is of a very high standard, of a different class, you'll not be able to handle it. So like that, now our faith is Komala, and the Lord gives us certain, kicks and slaps from Maya here and there. We understand that this place is not, a place of permanent settlement, and we develop our faith in the protection of Krishna, and we make progress. So that is why, if you see in the lives of, if you see in the life of Prabhupada, if you read the biography, actually Prabhupada was supposed to be a very successful businessman. He had some association with the Bose laboratory, and whatever he was doing, he would have become a very big businessman. But that didn't work out. He had to go to Allahabad. He started this private pharmacy. So Prabhupada himself mentions that this is the way the Lord was taking away all these material assets from his life. Harishyata dhanam sanai shanai, that verse, uparamat, that verse is there. Yasyaham anugraham, the Lord, when he bestows his mercy, all our other shelters that we have, all other seemingly shelters that we have created for ourselves are taken away, so that a person becomes fully dependent on the Lord. If it happens to us, it may backfire because our faith can get shattered. But we have to learn from the lives of these great devotees. Actually, since you're asking this, and this is related to the next verse which I was telling, the difference which lies between a mature devotee and a normal struggling devotee like me or a neophyte devotee is the way they handle difficulties and reversals in life. That's the biggest difference. A sincere, advanced devotee, that's the spiritual maturity. handles it in a way where he sees the hand of the Lord in that situation. Whereas, when somebody has not developed those spiritual maturity, may complain, may crib, may cry, may crumble. So many things can happen. We will see that more. That's why I'm saying the prayer of Kunti Maharani has a very important secret. There's a very important clue. Why is she asking? If Vrishnishu and Pandus, we are talking about devotee attachment so much, it is nicely available from her parent side, from her father's side, as well as her children are all great devotees. Why is she asking them to sever the knots? The answer lies in the next verse, and we will see. I'll refrain to give that.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Now you've aroused my curiosity. Thank you. Hari Bol.
Any other question? Puppet in the hand of the normal, who is in the puppet in the hand of material nature, modes of material nature. No. Devotee who is also materialist. Is it? No. Devotee who is in the who's controlled by the Lord, and a materialist who's controlled by the modes of material nature. The distinction is who's controlling. So modes of material nature are under the supervision of the Lord, but when the person doesn't know that, he's being controlled. He's anyway being controlled. But it is like that, when you realize this problem that the mess that you are in this material world, and you call out to your father, like the child who was, had a fight with somebody in the school, and the father comes to rescue. So like that, so when you understand your position and realize that, the control that you're having is futile, is not a permanent control, and you shift to the Lord, then you're protected. Protected means material nature will still act. We'll have birth, death, old age, disease, all those things will happen. Consciousness is protected. That's what happened to the pure devotees. They have that consciousness which doesn't get affected in ups and downs and all these kind of things, whatever upheavals. But he doesn't realize. He thinks he's the controller. However, he is not. He's controlled by the laws of nature. If you see, there also it says it has those three modes which are controlling. So we are Prakriti Kriyamanani Gune Karmani Sarvasa Ahankara Vimudatma Kattaham iti manya. It's pure devotee meeting is a must. When I can take the liberty of going and saying some verses from Bhagavatam. Actually, this is a very beautiful verse in the 11th canto, 12th chapter, first verse. You can see that 11th, 12th. This is spoken by the Lord. Okay, I'm just reading the translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Uddhava, by associating with my pure devotees, one can destroy one's attachment for all objects of material sense gratification. Such purifying association brings me under the control of my devotee. One may perform the Ashtanga Yoga system, engage in philosophical analysis of the elements of material nature, practice non-violence, other ordinary principles of piety, chant the Vedas, perform penances, take to the renounced order of life, execute sacrificial performances, and dig wells, plant trees, perform other public welfare activities, give in charity, carry out severe vows, worship the demigods, chant confidential mantras, visit holy places, or accept major and minor disciplinary injunctions. But even by performing such activities, one does not bring me under his control." So look at the power of meeting a pure devotee. Just the association of a pure devotee. Only by that it is possible. The Lord says, I become captivated by him. By doing all other things, you cannot get me. So the real good fortune, that's why Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasada Pai. That you'll choose you to see next class. You can't try to get the answer. You can go and see that verse. Prabhupada explains that in the purport, and in the next class, next verse also, the purport it is mentioned. Very powerful thing. Okay, any other question? If no questions, we'll stop here and see this wonderful journey of Narad Muni and how it unfolds in Bhagavatam and how do we learn this and apply it in our life. Jagranthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagadguru
Jai.
Prabhupada ki, Jai
Jai.
Premanande.
Hari Hari.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.